as much as I hate calling myself fat, so many doctors, if a fat person comes in and they have problems, the doctor will be like, lose weight. Okay, you're not listening to me. You're not listening to my symptoms. It took me so long to get the right person to listen to me. And ironically, I have lost so much weight since somebody started taking me seriously.
I'm Tina Lynch.
And I'm Jody Paul.
And this is Oh Health No.
Oh Health No.
Welcome to our very first episode of Oh Health No with our very first guest. And it's only taken us 7 years to make it happen.
Well, I was busy having a health crisis. You were busy recovering from a health crisis. And we had to be ready to talk about it because it's not easy. Not at all. For anyone, including us.
No, not at all. It's been really hard for us to talk about it. I wish it wasn't, but it is.
To be honest, I am worried that people won't understand when they learn what I was going through. But I was just doing the best I could at the time and trying to get better and survive.
And that's why we wanted to make it easier for people to talk about their health issues, because talking about it can actually be cathartic. And it can also help other people just by hearing our stories and our guests' stories.
Completely. And look, it's not all doom and gloom. We have laughed so much talking about the crazy things we've been through. We've been through some truly crazy shit that you just can't make up.
Which people will soon discover. Much like Jessica, I related to her on so many levels. I think we both did. From dismissive doctors to the toll a health crisis takes on a relationship. Oh, and not to mention the enemas. Oh, the enemas.
I've still never had an enema or a husband. Not saying those two things are related. I hope not. Anyway, get ready to learn all sorts of things courtesy of the delightful Jessica Hughes.
She does not disappoint. And that's why we wanted her to be our first.
And yours too. A little context here for our listeners. I met Jessica when she came to foster a man-hating dog from the shelter when I was volunteering during said health crisis. Legit man-hating. I can't remember how she agreed to it. I just remember this dog was nothing short of magical when I met him. He was like a doodle, but not a doodle, doodle-esque. And I had no idea how he could be in the shelter. And the minute I posted him on the shelter's Facebook page, he got snatched up by a family. Cut to, he was amazing with the wife and the kids, but attacked the dad. And the kids were traumatized. So back to the shelter he came. I was completely devastated, but Jessica agreed to foster him. But first, she called in her very tall friend, Mike. We're talking Shaquille O'Neal tall, to meet us at the shelter to determine just how man-hating this dog was. Quite a bit, as it would turn out. But Jessica was completely undeterred, and she helped him find the love for men, and she got that dog a home.
She's also gotten a lot of actors a job. She's cast a plethora of shows, including The Keenen Ivory Wayans Show, America's Most Wanted, America's Got Talent, and American Ninja Warrior. Or as she likes to say, America's Most Wanted Talented Warriors.
She also makes really funny social media posts. Except for the one time she posted about her health crisis. And that got my attention. And that's why we're here. And so is she.
And we can't wait for you to hear her story. Please welcome Jessica Hughes. Hi.
Hi, can you see me? What is going on?
Okay, we did a minute ago. Okay, there you are. There you are with your fancy pink glasses and your cute sweater that matches your fancy pink glasses. I mean, who does this? Who matches
Okay,
like this?
the glasses are orange.
Are they?
The shirt is pink
and orange. I see that.
Okay,
is that
you
a
see
heart?
the orange?
Perhaps it's the light. Is the light throwing it off?
There you go. No, you look good. Now I see it's orange.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
Who's on your lap?
Oh, this is Ricky. He is a Kit Crusader. Do you know Kit Crusaders?
I do. I've heard of them, yeah.
Yeah. So basically they're amazing. They help save Sabrina. And so Tracy, one of the founders of it, and when Ricky's brother got sick, Fred, she asked me to hold on to Ricky. And then Ricky and Sabrina fell in love. It was a whole love story. And then I was an asshole if I separated them, and who could separate them. They have this dysfunctional, loving relationship. They clean each other, then fight, and then chase each other. It's some passionate thing that I've never had in my life.
That's awesome.
So I'm living through my cat. That's just fine. I want to say I was sharing this with Tina because I was trying to explain you are one of the most hysterical people ever. And you have the funniest social media posts. And I was reading some of your posts to her. My favorites are the ones with Consuela, the world's meanest Mexican grandmother. So Consuela says to you, but the funny thing is how you write them is really, that is the freaking funniest thing. And she says to you, your new car is cute. And you're like, oh, that's a rental. My car is in the shop. Consuela, oh no, what happened? Jessica, the kid backed into my... Consuelo walks away.
We all have a Consuelo.
This one is hysterical too.
Oh wait, is that the... I know which one you're going to say because I was laughing out loud.
Just caught Consuelo, the world's meanest Mexican grandmother, doing the walk of shame. This is the best day of my life.
Yeah, it all started with her, right? I've been living here for like 12 years and I moved in New Year's Eve. And I've got a big patio with an iron fence around it. And I mean, I know the bungalow was empty for a few months, but clearly someone has moved in. The electricity is back on. I walked in with a couple of suitcases. You know what I mean? Anyway, I woke up. She had put her laundry all across my gate to dry. And I was like, oh, I see.
Okay, that's hilarious. I'm sorry.
We're going to need to set boundaries.
It was like her own clothesline.
She's like walking in and she's putting cookies in your oven.
Oh my gosh. When I left town like 2 years ago to go down to Florida, she's died now, but there was a feral stray cat that I was feeding. And I was actually having to pay for a pet sitter and they were going to charge me like an extra $40 a day to put dry food out. So anyway, I asked her if she could feed the outdoor cat. My flight, I think I left at like 5 a.m. I literally came out of my gate at 5 a.m. and she was standing right there. I don't know how she knew I was leaving that early or what, but she wanted a key to my house. And I'm like, but you're just feeding not my cat, which is what I called the cat. I was like, just not my, you don't need to come in the house. Like, it's fine. Yeah. So anytime I have somebody pet sit or do whatever, I'm like, if a really mean looking Hispanic woman asked you to come inside, no.
She rearranges your whole place while you're gone. She's like, this is the way it should be.
Believe me, I've also gotten in trouble for, I think I finally was sweeping the patio one time and she came by and she was like, oh, are you going to clean the windows next? No, I'm not. So I'm sure she'd be disgusted at the state of my house.
I think we all have, and some people have a Consuela that lives next door, or they have a Consuela in their family.
Well, Consuela is right across from me. It's 2 rows of bungalows, and the driveway runs down the middle. So she's right across from me. So anytime she hears me outside with a friend, she finds a reason to come out on our patio so that she can listen. It's like my friends have even noticed it.
That is hysterical. So she was like living in that century because my grandparents, they lived in a small farm town in Illinois. My mom went to Northwestern. My whole family went to Northwestern, much like you. And my mom is incredibly proud of it, as she should be.
It's a very impressive achievement.
I would have to agree with you both.
So my grandmother, they had a party line back in those days, and you pick up the phone and you could hear people gossiping on and everything. But yeah, she was very much that way. Knew everything that was going on with everybody. Super smart woman, which was also kind of funny. I'm like, how do you find time to know everything that's going on with every other person?
Hey, like, look, everybody needs a Mrs. Kravitz.
I mean,
there's that reference again, right, Jody?
Right? Thank you, Bewitched.
Yeah, we have a friend. Aren't you a Real Housewives fan? I think you are.
I don't know if I want to admit that in public.
Oh, this is a safe space. You can admit that here.
Thank you. Yes, I am.
So one of our friends was a producer on it, and one of his things that he says, he's such a Mrs. Kravitz. We love that about him because that's how you can work on a show like that, because you just love the dish.
Mm-hmm.
Is this somebody who works on Beverly Hills? Because we might have the same friend.
He was on
OC, right?
Yeah, he was on OC. Anyway, I will say that your social media posts have given me life and made me laugh so much. And the social media post is how I even found out you even had any sort of health crisis whatsoever. So to segue into the oh health no of it all and into the objective of today, it's kind of interesting because there are more people that are talking about their health crises. It's like they'll go through a health crisis, then post. I was just curious because one of the things you said is you went back and forth about that. And I find that interesting because, I've had friends that have posted and then they've taken them down, friends that have posted and they left them up. And I was kind of wondering, even before we get into what your actual crisis is, what made you want to post it?
Well, first of all, I'm a little bit psychotic in that I will go through my wall and clean it up every once in a while. So sometimes my posts disappear because of that, because either the event's over, I don't want to talk about it anymore, or I just hate everybody.
Good to know.
So many people post cat stuff on my wall that it's like, there can only be one on the wall at a time. A couple of things made me do it. My niece was very vocal about her health stuff. And I felt like it was something, she died last December, but I felt like it was something that she would want me to do. So that's why I did it. But the main reason was because as much as I hate calling myself fat, I wanted to say something because so many doctors, if a fat person comes in and they have problems, the doctor will be like, lose weight. Okay, you're not listening to me. You're not listening to my symptoms. And it took me so long to get the right person to listen to me. And ironically, I have lost so much weight since somebody started taking me seriously. So that was the main reason. One, because I know my niece would want me to. And the other was just a shout out to my fellow fat people.
What was the response?
A lot of people agreed with me. It's, I mean, I'm going to make up the percentage because I don't know what it is, but I would say 70% of doctors will dismiss physical complaints from fat people. And they literally my doctor at the time was just like, well, you need to lose weight. Okay, well, can you help me lose weight? I can refer you to a nutritionist. That's not the problem.
You said in your post that you had symptoms for 2 years. So
at least.
And was this same doctor every time? Did you see him multiple times where he kept saying lose weight?
Oh yeah. Okay. I should also say that I knew this doctor wasn't a great doctor from the get-go, but seeing her last name on my pill bottles made me laugh all the time because her last name is Kevorkian.
Oh my gosh. You can't make that shit up.
No, you cannot make that shit up.
Oh, it gets better.
It
gets better. At one point, my insurance referred me to an asthma guy named Peter Parker. And I was like, if the next thing is that I get a psychiatrist named Diana Prince, someone I know works there.
Or someone upstairs.
Or Consuela has cameras hidden in your house.
Yeah, so it's I don't want to assign even 50% of the blame to myself, but I definitely let it go on for too long just because of the pill bottles.
I mean, I can get behind that. And I will say I'm embarrassed because I was assuming it was a man because men have a tendency to dismiss women. I hate to say that, but there is that. You walk in, you're not even being heard. None of your symptoms are being heard. And you said you knew something was wrong.
Yeah, because I've had stomach problems for a long time, for years. But it started to get 2018, I lost a bunch of weight. Then I think it was that summer, my brother, who was 15 years older than me, my brother and his daughter, my niece, were both diagnosed with really bad things the same week. So that started 5 years of stress. And then the lockdown when everybody's making bread, but because they don't actually eat gluten, they're dropping it off at my house. So that was a little bit of a problem. But I was gaining weight in such a way that it didn't make sense. And then there was other stuff, the weight gain, the mood swings, anxiety, all this stuff. And this is what pisses me off about it. I've been treated for a low thyroid for, 25, 30 years now. And a lot of the symptoms that I was saying are related to the thyroid, but all she would do is check my TSH levels and then be like, oh, we got to up you, on your thyroid medication. But it's like, okay, But if a competent doctor would have looked at the fact that I have this long-term thyroid thing and all my symptoms and been like, maybe we should check your cortisol levels. So, yeah. So, that's what makes me mad. But as I've said 3 times, I do take some of the responsibility for letting it go on as long as I did.
Well, the question is, well, not one. That's one of the questions. Did you find that doctor through your insurance? Is that why you went to that doctor in the first place?
Yeah, because, Covered California assigned me to a clinic. There's one in Burbank, there's one in Eagle Rock. She's at the Eagle Rock one, which is closest to me. And then after I had this thing happen to me at the beginning of 2022, which was my impetus for getting rid of her finally, I called the clinic and I said, find me a doctor in Burbank at that location. And so they did. And then the new doctors took me seriously, ran a bunch of tests, got me referred to an endocrinologist. He ran tests for months, and then because you have to do some of this stuff like 3 times for, it to be approved or whatever. And so it was finally determined that there was a problem with my adrenal glands. And then they were going to do this, like, it's called vein sampling, which I still don't really understand, to find out if the cortisol was coming from both adrenal glands or if it was just one that was overacting. That's what the vein sampling is for. So anyway, so then there's only 2 places in LA who do it. USC, which is in my network, and Cedars-Sinai, which is not. So of course, I got assigned to Cedars-Sinai, which made everything 100 times worse because I have to jump through so many hoops to get authorized by stuff. But they're great. They're great. I really like the endocrinologists that are there. So right now I have a doctor, 2 endocrinologists, and they all have normal names.
Okay.
I mean, it was endless months of blood work. This saliva cortisol thing they do where basically you put like a tampon in your mouth and you roll it around for like 90 seconds or 2 minutes or something. And then you spit it into a tube. And you have to do that. For that one, you have to take a pill at 11 o'clock at night, which is really annoying because I like to go to bed much earlier because I get up super early. But anyway, yeah, so you have to take this pill and then you have to do the cortisol test at the same time. And, it's a whole thing. Oh, and the 24-hour urine test. Let's not forget the 24-hour urine test where you have to pee into a jug for 24 hours. That's fun. It's especially fun to drop that specimen off because you're like, here I am with my jug of urine.
That's exciting. And how often do you have to do this?
I mean, I've done the 24-hour urine thing at least 3 times. The saliva thing, maybe 5 times. And the blood, I mean, they know me by name at LabCorp. And I don't even need to make an appointment anymore. I just show up at the top of the day and they're like, hey, Jessica, and they get me. So I got that going for me. Because right now, if you try to make an appointment with LabCorp, and I've looked at like 4 different locations in this area, they don't have anything open for months.
You can't get in.
I forgot the CTs and the ultrasounds and all that stuff. So what they basically found out was that I have a tumor on each adrenal gland, which, by the way, is apparently very rare. So I'm special.
We always knew that.
Yeah, thank you.
We could tell you. We know you're special.
Thank you. That's what my dad always said. But so they wanted to take out both adrenal glands, but then you have to be on a steroid for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. And I'll be totally honest. My fear is if the Republicans get back in power and they get rid of the healthcare that we have, and it's like people with pre-existing conditions can't get insurance anymore. Mm-hmm. Like, you can go to USC if you don't have insurance, but I'm too old to go through those hoops again. Mm-hmm. I just am. Like at that point, if that scenario were to happen, I'd just be like, take me now, zombies, because I can't take it. I can't go through jumping those hoops. So they took out one adrenal gland, and the tumors on adrenal glands are usually benign, and that one was. The surgeon showed me a photo afterwards, and I wish I had asked him to send it to me because it kind of looked like a fish, a flat fish.
Really? Huh.
Okay, look, when he showed it to me, I had just come out of anesthesia.
Were you a little high when you looked at that fish?
I may have been.
You were like, oh, they found Nemo.
That makes me Dory.
Yes.
And you're getting married to the surgeon.
Yeah.
I love you.
Oh, and that surgeon, he's a very elegant, distinguished British man. And every time I met with him, I tried to get him to laugh and he never cracked. And so it was upsetting me. So anyway, we get to Cedars, I'm getting prepped. He comes in his fancy sweat tracksuit or whatever, talks me through what's going to happen. And then he said, do you have any questions? And he's like already moving away because I'm like, I'm here. Let's just do it. I don't care. And I was like, actually, I do. And so he walks back over and I go, is it possible for you to throw in a boob job? And he laughed. So I was like, if I die during surgery, I died happy.
I just have to say that my dog, Piper, as you can hear in the background, she's struggling over here. So I just want to put that out there.
Well, my dog, Hemi, usually gets into his bed right by my desk, but that one got screwed up a couple months ago, so I bought a new one, which he refuses to get into.
He's boycotting
and so
that bed.
Now what he does is he just stares at me from the sofa like this.
I love him.
He also, this is so embarrassing. He's afraid of kitchens, so I feed him in the living room. And he's afraid of water bowls, so I have to hold it for him. So he does this thing. If he wants water, he sits up on the sofa and stares at the water bowl. If he wants to go outside, he looks at me and then looks towards the front door.
All right, it's so perfect.
It's like, if something happens to me and he's still alive, I'm going to have to leave a list.
So circling back to the health crisis of it all, what was your recovery like and where are things at now and with the adrenals?
The recovery was interesting because they had told me from the get-go that I would spend one night in Cedars just so that they could monitor me. My friend Vicky was with me and I guess I was in the recovery room for a really long time because they didn't have a room available. And so then finally the nurse, she really liked Vicky. She liked me. And she was like, you know what? I can't take this anymore. So she got me a VIP suite. Ooh. And I was like, I would like to stay for the week. That first night was bad with the vomiting and stuff like that. But and then when I got home, I was fostering 2 kittens for the shelter. And for some reason, I thought it would be a better idea to spend the night on my sofa because it's one of those reclining things. Mm-hmm. But when my friend left, she left one of the lights on and I was just too tired and too much pain to turn the light off. Well, the kittens pretty much thought it was a disco all night and they just partied down in their crate. And so when Vicky came back the next morning to check on me, I was like, get the kittens out of here. Yeah, it was a long time of not being able to lift things, having to be super careful, keep my eye on the incision. Oh, and my niece Hillary is a doctor. So, and I really didn't bother her with my health issues at all because she had enough on her plate with her father and her sister. So it wasn't until both my brother and my niece had died that I was like, I'm going to give her like a month off and then I'm going to start asking her questions. But anyways, we were sending photos of the incision every day to Hillary to see if it looked infected. And like, I don't know, but it was fine. But now the thing is there's still too much cortisol in my body. So they talked again about taking out the other adrenal gland. I used the same argument. So now they have me on this medication that you can only get from a pharmacy in Tennessee. And I started out on 1 milligram. I'm now up to 3. So I'll do blood work again in a month. And hopefully 3 milligrams of this Tennessee drug will do the trick and I'll be fine. But it's hard because the whole cortisol thing, it's like your stress hormone. Mm-hmm. So I get irritated super fast. My mood, like it's just, I'm not as on top of those things as I want to be. I mean, you're supposed to not have mood swings when you're working. And because I deal with so many people, it's hard even on a good day. But yeah, so, but on the plus side, I've lost over 100 pounds. The nausea, the drug does cause nausea and stuff, but it's bad like a few days a week and then it's okay. I no longer am on blood pressure medication. I'm no longer on a couple of different drugs, that are affected by that. So, hopefully this one will do the trick, this 3rd milligram.
So this medication that you're on now, is it supposed to get to a point where you don't have to take it, or is it something you're going to have to take forever?
It tamps down the cortisol.
Okay.
So unless if I get the other adrenal gland taken out, then, sure. But I don't know. And I have to wear a medical alert bracelet now. It says adrenal insufficiency.
Oh, yeah.
And I wanted a subtle one and I got this on Etsy. I think it might be too subtle. Like, you can't really tell it's a medical alert bracelet.
Yeah, it looks a little cute. It kind of looks
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like those mantra bracelets.
Yeah. You're starting your own Taylor Swift situation.
Yeah.
Oh, please. Oh, now I can, if you guys keep this Taylor Swift thing in, I can never let my great nieces know. They'll be, what, does that mean you know Taylor Swift? No, the woman referenced Taylor Swift. I don't know Taylor Swift.
We're going to meet Taylor Swift? Is that what she just said?
Taylor Swift is coming to Kentucky? What?
But you can start a whole bracelet situation, start a trend. Pretty soon you'll be dating a pro baller. It'll be a whole thing.
I'm gonna go for Scottie Pippen so that I can hang out with Larsa. Me and Scotty are gonna hang out with Larsa and Marcus.
See, that's an interesting choice. I gotta say, that's an interesting choice.
Yeah, I mean, if I had my preference, it would be Tom Jones. But if it has to be Scottie Pippen,
okay.
Then all right, whatever.
Whatever.
I'll make it work.
And that's good because since you have Travis Kelce and football, someone needs to do basketball. You have to pick your lane.
Right.
We can't discriminate.
So the question I have too is that, okay, so then you lost 100 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that
Wait, can I just say this? I've been trying so hard to make this joke work and I can't make it work. Like, I've lost to Jessica Simpson. Or I've lost as much as an ingenue weighs. See, none of these work.
Jessica Simpson was closer.
Yeah.
All right, I'm sorry.
I know you'll crack it. I have no doubt.
I know it's like right there.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
My friend Vicky, we've been best friends for like 42 years, and she's heard them all. So she always gets excited when there's like some sort of variation. It's like, am I really that predictable?
I love that. Everyone needs a friend like that.
I will also say that the thing is, I noticed because you were posting, as we do in this social media world. You hadn't posted in a long time, and I was missing your posts. How dare you have a health crisis and not entertain me? Is all I'm saying.
Well, that's the other thing. I mean, I have depression anyway, but the whole cortisol thing, then the thyroid thing, that's tied into depression. And when I do get depressed, I always think of, I don't know if you remember this great film, The Boy in the Plastic Bubble with John Travolta.
Are you kidding? One of my favorite movies ever.
John
Travolta.
My ideal living conditions, because I'm very allergic, is inside a biosphere. Jody in the plastic bubble. I'll be like a little hamster, and
Right.
And then he gets on the horse and they ride away. It's like,
and then they don't show the part where he dies 2 weeks later.
No.
Way to ruin it, Jessica.
Jessica, now I have to go back and reprocess that childhood trauma.
Because it's like being when I have a depressive thing, or an episode, I don't want to call it an episode, but it's like I feel like I'm in that plastic bubble and I'm trying to breathe out, but the plastic just keeps coming closer and shuts me out. I don't know if that makes sense. I haven't really ever said that out loud before, but it's like I just go into a bubble that has no way to communicate with the outside world.
No, I hear that. I mean, do you think, just out of curiosity, because now you're working remotely too, were you always working remotely though? Because I mean,
no, not always, but even before the pandemic, it had gotten that way because, they don't want to pay for office space. It's cheaper for them to just rent a studio for me on days when I have auditions. So it was, I would basically leave the house for audition sessions that, the rest would be done from here. But before that, they used to make me be in the office.
Now, do you miss the office and seeing people, or are you a fan of remote?
That's a hard call because what I like about the remote thing and having people turn in self-tapes is I can see so many more people than I can in person. in like a 2-4 hour session, you can see maybe 40, 50 people. I mean, you just, and I can ask for 300 self tapes. And while actors think we don't watch them, I watch every single one of them. Not maybe all the way through, but I watch every single one of them. And then I remember people for other projects. So that part of it I love. But not being able to direct them is horrible.
Yeah.
Because there's no time with the way the system is set up to be like, oh, can you redo this and give them notes before the callback? And I don't like that at all. Yeah, so there's pros and cons to both.
I was just wondering if it affected your mood. Or,
your depression. Did that contribute to it?
I mean, definitely. And I've always been somebody who needs, like if I go on a group trip, I'm good for like 48 hours. And then just let Jessica be alone for like an hour. Let her read a book, just something. I need my space. But yeah, no, you definitely get the serotonin when you interact with real people. So, but I mean, I can always go across the driveway to Consuela.
And get a real mood lifter.
A real self-confidence booster.
Oh, you have time to read a book, but not to clean your windows? I do a horrible accent.
You're hysterical.
So, Jessica, do you think that them taking so long to diagnose the adrenals, do you think the depression and that there was a correlation there?
Definitely, just because, okay, so when the clinic where my main doctor is, when they put in for an authorization, they're also supposed to do a signed order. And the clinic that I go to does not understand signed orders. And places like Adventist Health, which is where the ultrasound and the CT and stuff like that happen, they won't even let you make an appointment without the signed order. So it's like, I have left countless messages. And then I finally, with this latest thing, because they're doing, the next big thing I have is blood work they're doing genetic testing. But it took forever, 7 weeks for that authorization to even come through. And then every time I called to make the appointment, they're like, oh yeah, your clinic's really bad about that, but we have to. So it's just the jumping through hoops. And it got to the point with it was the CT, I think, with the CT where I left, and it had to have been my fourth message in the authorization department of my clinic. And I was like, I feel really off. I can't take this anymore. I really need your help, And so at that point, they kind of have to take care of it. And sure enough, the woman called the next day. And it's just like, do I have to pretend to be suicidal to get a freaking CT? It's so that all of that stress, because I mean, there have been times where I've just been like, okay, screw it. I give up. I don't care. I'm done. Yeah. I am done jumping through these hoops. I can't do it anymore. But, it's just, and the stuff about having to repeat tests for like 6 months or whatever it was, that stuff makes sense to me. But the just trying to get the test scheduled thing is like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. No, it's absurd. I mean, I get it. The trying to navigate the system and trying to figure out what's going on with you. If you're doing it for a couple of years and you're not feeling well and people aren't taking you seriously, I mean, I know personally when that happened to me, you feel helpless,
Well, the most interesting thing that any of these doctors have said to me was my main endocrinologist, the guy in Glendale, after probably like a year of tests or whatever, he kept saying that my blood work was like whack-a-mole. Something would be totally normal 1 month, and then the next month it would be elevated or down. So it was like, so he would say all these sort of horrible possibilities of what it could be, like, you have Cushing syndrome, or you have blah, blah, blah. And I would just be like, okay. And he said to me, he goes, one of the things I love about you is that you don't get freaked out about this stuff. And I was like, why am I going to get freaked out about something that may or may not be true? Like, let's just keep doing what you're doing. And I'm not going to Google these different, because I'm not going to give it any headspace until I have to. I just thought that was funny because he's probably the only person who thinks that I'm just a cheery person 24/7.
Well, I mean, some people would just freak out, it could be this, it could be that. Oh my God, my life is over. So tell me if I'm wrong. You kind of just want an answer too, I would assume.
Oh yeah. Oh, you want to do more tests? Fine by me. Just let's start coming up with some stuff, But my niece, Lindsey, she was part of Colontown and talk very publicly about her stuff. So I feel like it's okay to talk about what happened to her. But in 2018, she was 38. She hadn't been feeling well. The same sort of crap as me. Stomach problems, all this stuff. She went to the emergency room finally and was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. Now, it runs in our family. I started getting tests when I turned 40, and they pretty much take out a polyp or two every time. But she was 38, and so they don't start it until 40, And I mean, now her daughters and her son, they'll be able to get tested much earlier because it's like, this happened with my mom. This happened with our grandfather, But I don't like being, is it the seat? Why am I blanking on it? Oh, the MRI. When you go in the tube?
Mm-hmm.
I freaking hate that. And last time they did it, I was in that tube and I was like, okay, I'm going to freak out. And then it was like, do you know how many times Lindsey had to do scans and drive 3 hours? She lived in the Appalachian Mountains. So it was like every time she had to do a scan, drive 3 hours to Lexington. You know what I mean? And I was like, quit. Like, I can't tell you how many times I'd kind of be a big baby and then be like, if Lindsey can handle it, you can handle it, So, yeah.
I'm so sorry about her.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for your loss.
I mean, that's just heartbreaking. And
well, it was bad because my brother died 6 months before. So it was like just a bad year for the family.
So they both died and they passed from.
They both got diagnosed the same week.
Oh, Jesus.
With, devastating news, and he died in April, and then she died in December, at the beginning of December.
I know you did say that Lindsey was a big reason that you advocated for yourself.
She was, okay, so just really briefly. So it was January 2022. I'd been feeling really sick. It was a Sunday. I went to an urgent care. They couldn't figure out what was wrong, but they were like, if this, or this happens, you need to go to the emergency room. And I'm like, okay. I got home. A couple hours later, I got up to go to the bathroom. I'm walking across my living room, and I can't even tell you the pain. I couldn't even stand up straight. So a friend came and took me to the hospital. There was a COVID outbreak at the time, so they had one of those tent cities set up. Basically, I couldn't even walk. I was in a wheelchair for 8 hours in that emergency room waiting to, they ran tests and stuff, but a doctor never came to find me until like 8 hours had gone by. And so then they wheel me back to this curtained off area, and the doctor comes in, he sits down, and he's like, hi, okay, so oh, wait, I forgot to check your urine. I'll be back. And he leaves. And so now, there's hardly any personnel in there because everybody's outside in COVID city. And so another 45 minutes go by. At this point, it's like 1:30, 2 a.m. And so I can hear somebody at a desk. I open the curtain, and I'm like, is that doctor coming back? And the guy's like, oh, I'll go check. And the thing is, so he leaves, and then I hear him kind of sneak back 5 minutes later, like quietly sneaking back to his desk. And I waited another 20 minutes, and then I was like, okay, to hell with this. I'm going to die, and I'm going to die at home. I am not going to die in this curtained off area where nobody even remembers that I'm here. So I got up, I ripped the IV out, blood spurted against the wall. And I don't know if you guys watched Alias, but at that point I went into Sydney Bristol mode, and I just grabbed some gauze, and I was like, and I got myself out of the hospital, called the lift, got home at like 3:00 in the morning. I didn't want to wake any of my family or friends up. So I basically wrote messages on Facebook saying, look, I don't know if I'm going to make it. I mean, I didn't say that, but I was just like, hey, I'm home from the hospital. And then the more I thought, when I wasn't dead the next day, that's when I got really angry about the situation I was in. And all I could hear was Lindsey's voice. And she was still alive when this happened. So, I was like, I need to put my foot down about this. And she goes, oh my gosh, you should have done it 2 years ago. So next day, fired Kevorkian, that's when it all started. And I never heard anything from the hospital. You know what I mean? As far as I know, that doctor's still looking for my urine tests.
I mean, yeah, he's like on the Sahara Desert somewhere.
I have asthma. That's also, I think, what really pissed me off about that 12 hours or whatever it was in the emergency room was I really 90% of the time have only gone to the emergency room because I've dislocated my shoulder or I'm having an asthma attack. And with those things, you get right in. Mm-hmm. So you get really spoiled. So it's like, no, most people have to wait hours to be seen. But if I could have walked that day, I would have done the asthma thing, but I couldn't even move.
So crazy. When I left Cedars-Sinai after a scan, I still had an IV in my arm because I've had so many IVs from my own health condition that I have so much scar tissue. I can't even tell. I don't feel it. And so it was one of those things. I was waiting and I was getting frustrated, same sort of thing. And I finally just went out into my car and I'm leaving and I'm looking. I'm like, shit. Now I have to go back. And I'm like, can I just rip it out? And
Yeah, but you called me. She's like, so I have this like bee stuck in my arm. I'm like, I think you should probably go back. Like, she's like calling me. Like, I'm going to come and like take it out for you. It was very funny. I'm like, I think maybe you want to turn around and go back.
And I so didn't want to. It was ridiculous. No one ever came back. I was just laying there. And then I was, okay, I guess I'm okay to leave. I had a coat, it was cold. They leave you in there and you have a blanket on and I had a sweater on and I just was so tired and I was, okay, leaving.
Well, I came up with a Sydney Bristol solution for pulling out your own IV. Always carry duct tape with you. Rip it off, wrap it up in duct tape. You're good to go.
See, that's like literally hearing you say that. I wish
I actually have duct tape in my car. Now I know there's more than one use for it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I mean, I'm not 100% positive that duct tape
that's safe.
Doesn't it seem like it would?
It would, yeah. I think it would just seal it up immediately, whatever's happening there.
Or a candle. You could light a candle and drip the wax on it.
Oh, like an envelope, like we're sealing an envelope.
Yes.
Nice. Question. You're a freelancer, yes? So,
yeah.
So when you were going through your whole health crisis, how did that affect your ability to work?
Mm-hmm.
Well, luckily, the surgery timed out that there wasn't that much going on, but it's rough sometimes. I mean, sometimes I get to hire an associate, and I always use this guy, Winston, who I love, but there have been days where I've been, Winston, I have been vomiting. I'm so nauseous. Can you just cover for 2 hours? Which is never a problem, but stuff like that happens. This new medication can cause fatigue. And so there were times where it was like, I'd just be like, okay, I just got to lay down for an hour, stuff like that. I would not take a job right now. Well, you know what? That's a lie because everything's been so slow. I would totally take the job anyway. Yeah. But what I was going to say was it wouldn't be my druthers to be working right now. But yeah, I am realizing that my whole like, I wouldn't have taken it. That's BS because I'll take any job unless it involves debasing young women. That's the one thing I've drawn the line at. Heck, I've even cast off core porn. So,
well, that's impressive.
Which went over big when I was going through training to be a court advocate for foster kids. They were like, well, what are you working on? And I was like, I don't want to lie.
You're like,
Yeah.
What?
A low budget movie right now.
That's just super. It's we're really not allowed to talk about it. It's like a Marvel movie. We can't tell you what it's about.
I signed an NDA.
Yeah. Well, because I wondered about that because I mean, me too, and so many people, especially when we work freelance. You worry about telling people you have any sort of health thing going on, I mean, there is that fear always that people are going to judge you or they're not going to hire you because of that. And I just wondered if you had any fears of that or no.
Definitely. I can't remember exactly what I wrote in that post, but I tried to make it sound like, I don't think I gave all the details and I tried to make it sound more positive.
No, it's funny. It was your classic style.
Honestly, anybody, like I get hired again and again by the same people and they all know. I just don't need it to be on social media for random people to know.
Well, no, obviously, whether you're sick or not sick or however you're feeling, you're going to get the job done. I mean, I think, you've proven that time and time again. So people are going to keep hiring you because you've been doing it, probably if you had just been starting your career, maybe not the thing you're going to put out there. Right. Right. I mean, I just know I was super terrified. I told no one, And
I also didn't want to put any more drama next to my name because I was working on a show when my brother died. I was working on a show when my niece went into hospice. I was working on a show when she died. I was working on a show when my cat died, which I inherited from my dead sister. So you know what I mean? It's like, okay, I have never not gotten a job done and done well, knock on wood. But I just was
I
like,
can't believe you worked through all that. Like, that's
I can't
crazy.
believe that either.
well, and it's like a lot of the stuff I cast is on true crime shows, and a bunch of us
Oh,
go from show to show. So it was the same four people finding out about all of these things.
You're like, oh Lord.
I love true crime shows.
Yeah, I don't watch them because I
I don't
work on
either.
them.
Well, because you work on them, so of course that makes sense. But oh, well, Jody knows true crime podcast shows, all of it.
Yeah, the first casting job I ever had, it was like an assistant to get free acting classes or something like that. But it was the original Menendez Brothers movie. And then I had to cast it at least twice for true crime shows. Same thing with Jean Benet, Jeffrey McDonald, the Green Beret killer.
Yeah, I would, if I were you, I probably wouldn't want to watch them either.
Yeah, no, I don't. Whatever I'm working on, I tend not to watch that genre because you're so saturated in it.
Yeah.
You're kind of done. You need something else to escape. When I was working on sitcoms, I felt the joke if I watched a sitcom. And if you're working on a dating show, and you're like, no more of that. I watched Law and Order SVU to relax. I'm like,
That's my another favorite. I'm all about the crime and the SVU. I don't know when that started, that fascination with that.
I think that's why I watch so much Bravo, although it's not working anymore because all they do is scream at each other now.
Okay, but I love Bravo too. So I'm like here and here. Either I'm watching the New York Housewives or, really any Bravo because I love Andy Cohen.
Oh, that was the other thing that I did when I was recovering and really couldn't do anything. I went through and started watching reunion episodes.
Yes.
And watching and rewatching, you know what I mean? Like I watched them when they came out, but that for some reason was very relaxing to me.
I just feel like, wow, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I really am okay.
I guess that's why Law and Order SVU, and that's why people love it so much because they get the bad guy. There's accountability. We all want accountability in life.
Yeah, I do watch organized crime, but I can't really watch The Mothership or anything else because my ex-husband loved it. And it just makes me nuts. I can't do Law and Order. But anything with Christopher Maloney,
Yes.
I'll create an exception for.
I know we all love Chris Malone. So let's see. Accountability and all. Would you ever do a Yelp review on your bad doctor?
On that bad doctor? No.
The-
Because like I said, I let it go on too long.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I can't, I got to keep my side of the street clean. But I wrote a scathing review of Quest Labs a couple of weeks ago, one that I was obsessed with. I wrote it for Yelp and for Google. Quest
You were
Labs.
determined.
Well, I'll just tell you really quickly what happened was I went there on a Tuesday to get my blood work done and take care of some tests. And I didn't realize that one of the blood tests had to be done before 9 a.m. So they're like, we'll do the basic blood work, but you're going to have to come back for that. Here's your urine jug. Here's your tampons to put in your mouth. Bring them back, as soon as you're done. So that was on a Tuesday. And I have been using Quest Labs on and off for like 2 years. I prefer LabCorp, but I went back on Friday, waited an hour and a half past my appointment. Woman finally comes, takes me back, and tells me they don't take my insurance. But you took it on Tuesday. You took it this past summer. You took it for the 6 months before this past summer. And she was like, well, I don't know what to tell you. Well, I'm going to tell you, you took it on Tuesday. Like, why are you not taking? And she was like, well, I wasn't working on Tuesday. Okay. Have at it. And then when I walked back out of the lobby, I looked at everybody who was waiting. I was like, this place sucks. Go to another place. And then as I carry out my jug of urine, which, by the way, talk about mood swings. I was this close to taking the cap off and throwing it on the floor. This close. But instead,
I feel like you would have been justified.
I totally do.
Right?
I totally do. But instead, I drove downtown and LabCorp took it.
I think Quest was the one, which I don't want to say, that I had to do a ridiculous amount of blood work. And I was there for so long. I honestly want to say like it's 27 vials. It was something absurd. And I lost it. And so I had to go back and redo it. It had taken so much, literally taken so much out of me, so much blood. And I was like, oh my God, how could you lose that? That is exhausting. And I had to go back and have it all redone. And it was just awful because, I'm also one of those people that when I give blood, they'll watch me because for some reason it takes forever. And now I can't anymore because I've had too many glutathione IVs and whatnot. But when I would give it, they would watch me and they're like, okay, you're not worth the trouble. You take too long.
What?
Yeah. And it would take too long to get my blood usually. I have really small veins. That's why. And so for me to get IVs and stuff has always been dramatic and traumatic sometimes. Now I have a doctor that gives me my IVs and it's not so bad because has it down to the science of where to go and she's not intimidated anymore. But in the beginning, she used to get kind of freaked out because she's trying to find a vein. They're really deep. She put on some sort of heat compresses, she literally once did it in my car because the heater had been on. It was just.
I have deep, small veins too. And every time they're like, oh, your veins are really hard to find, I'll be like, oh my gosh, that's why it's so good I was never a heroin addict. That's another joke that never works, but I can't keep myself from saying it.
Literally, my doctor said to me, she goes, if it's going to continue to be this hard, we might have to go between your toes like addicts do. And I'm like, no, there is no toe situation happening here. If we hit toes, we're done.
Like a glutathione drip in your toe?
Yes. Because I had so much scar tissue too. And also that's part of it. It's like you're like digging.
Oh, okay. As the room is spinning, I'm like,
Well, one thing I found out too, like when they're complaining about trying to find my veins, I found out it's best not to say, well, you can take it out of my hand. Sometimes that works because that makes them really try to get it out of your arm. Like they do not want to do the hand thing.
No, so they're terrified of the hand thing, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So they get bound and determined to show that they can do it, And it's like, that I've managed to shut up about. Like I just let them.
Yeah. I have good veins, fortunately. But then
you can be a heroin addict.
I know. I never thought of that. Now I have something to really like marinate on. Yeah. Well, what's so funny is that, so talking about having small veins and deep veins, my whole thing is I go in there and they're like, oh, they want to talk about my great veins as I'm getting queasy the whole time. And they're pressing on it and they're like, wow, we could do either arm. You really have. I'm like, shut up. Stop talking about my good veins. Every time you say the word, I want to just vomit right here. So I have the opposite problem.
That kind of makes me jealous.
Yeah, me too. Do
you have vein envy? Vein envy.
Yes,
it's like
I have
not
vein
penis envy.
Yeah. So now I have a question. So you say you lost 100 pounds and we kind of just glossed over that. That's kind of, pardon my language, a fucking big deal. Like whether you have a health issue or not. Is this because you address the adrenal situation, or did you also make changes that were part and parcel of, what you were told to do?
Or was it after the tumor surgery?
Well, people stopped dropping off bread, so that helped.
Did you go gluten-free? Is that what you're telling us? You're now gluten-free?
No. So they, it definitely, I definitely lost more since they took out the adrenal gland, but I started losing weight like 6 or 8 months before that because they put me on medications. When I started seeing the good endocrinologist, I had been pre-diabetic for a while, but they were like, oh, now you're diabetic. And so they put me on certain medications to control that. So that definitely helped. They had me on Ozempic for a couple of months, and then that just became too much stress. So they put me on something else that's kind of like that. But now the thing is, after having lost all that weight, I'm no longer considered diabetic. I'm off the diabetes medicines. So, who knows my friends keep making fun of me because I don't want to throw away my fat clothes because I did that in 2018 and, I just had to rebuy everything. So now, and I've been in the process of this for a couple of months and I've got those under the bed, storage things. Mm-hmm. Like, here's the very fat storage thing. Here's the fat storage thing. Here's the skinniest you'll ever be for the rest of your life thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's ridiculous. But I'm very proud of the fact that I reversed the diabetes.
That's huge. That's a really big deal.
I really do truly believe that why can I not say it? The inner the fasting, like every
intermittent fasting.
God. Okay. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. I really think that has helped. And it's not hard at all for me to do for some reason. I'll go 12 up. It's kind of the nausea kind of helps now that I think about it. Because there are, usually a couple of days a week where I really don't want anything but popsicles. But then even when I'm not just the 12-hour thing works, I think, especially for, people over 50.
You know what's going to happen now? There's going to be a whole popsicle diet because of you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is there a brand or a flavor you'd like to do a shout out?
Yeah. Wait, hold on.
I'm curious now. I'm going to go buy those popsicles.
Do you think they're magical popsicles? Is that
I love a good popsicle.
My mom has popsicles all the time.
Okay. Outshine. That's what they're called. Outshine popsicles.
Outshine popsicles. I'm going to get those.
Because every time I get nauseous, for some reason that helps. But I also think for the past month, I've been having a problem with really low glucose. And I've noticed that I'll get really nauseous and then the alarm will go off on my phone saying, urgent. Mm-hmm. So I even last week, I don't like sugar, believe it or not. But last week I bought a piece of carrot cake. I bought a bag of Jelly Belly, stuff like that. Because I was like, oh, juice, like Shelby needs her juice. Mm-hmm. I got juice in my refrigerator, so that I can make it go back up.
No, that's good, because if that does happen, because that can be dangerous as well if it goes too low.
Yeah, like in the 50s and the 60s.
That's real. Yeah, if it's in the 50s. And I know this sounds weird. My ex-husband, he's a type 1 diabetic. So we always had to have something on hand, whether it was those glucose tablets that you can get and keep in your purse, or his whole thing was peanut M&Ms. We always had to have peanut M&Ms and little... what's that other candy that's mint with the silver wrapper?
Junior Mints?
Oh,
Junior Mints.
No.
Thin Mints. Thin Mints?
Is it Thin Mints?
No,
well, whatever those little mints were. Anyway, I don't even know why I'm... So I understand. So it's good you do that, the juice and all of that, to make sure it doesn't go too low.
It was really bad last week. And I was even saying to my friend Liz, I was like, I'm getting kind of freaked out because I'm at the age where my mom started getting really weird. Forgetting things and early onset dementia and everything. And I seriously was freaking out. And then the next day I was like, I need to look more into this. Like, there's got to be another solution for the low glucose thing. So I started looking at it. It was like all of the symptoms that I was having from low glucose was what was making me think I was turning into my mom. Confusion, fatigue. And I was like,
sweaty, like kind of feeling a little woozy and forgetful. Yeah. That's all low blood sugar. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, but it actually was a huge relief because I was like, I'm not my mother.
Something
not yet anyway, knock on wood.
So are there any other things?
Peppermint patties. Sorry. See, when it comes to my brain, peppermint patties.
Girl Scout cookies.
Yes. Oh, so good. Okay, I digress. Keep going.
Sorry. No, I was going to say, is there anything else that you're doing? Are you concerned about your one remaining adrenal? Like, what are you doing to make sure that it stays with you?
There's not much I can do at this point other than to remember to take this medication that they have me. Hold on. Sorry. It's called Teresa. And I have to take 1 pill in the morning and 2 at night now. And it's hard for me to remember to do the night thing. So I have to stay on top of that. And then I just keep doing the blood work and all that stuff and everything they tell me to do, But that's basically it. I'm just following orders and remembering to take my medication, and because I don't know what else I can do. And then I actually have a CT next week just to, see if it's gotten any bigger, all that fun stuff.
Yeah. And is there anything that you do for your stress and your depression when it comes up? Is there any practices that you do? Like a meditation practice or walks or?
Well, one of the things that's come out of all this too is I'm now in physical therapy for my knee because I think it was the full body CT last December showed something in my knee, which I was like, what are you seeing in my knee? Like, seriously? Like, what is wrong with my body? But anyway, so I got into physical therapy for my knee, and that too is something from too much cortisol. It's muscle weakness. And because
I've heard that can happen.
And I dislocate my left shoulder a lot. I haven't done it in like 5 years, knock on wood for the third time. But I think because of that, I favor this side. So this side was a lot weaker than my right side. My physical therapist says I've gotten much better at balance and walking. I got like one of those half foam roller things.
Mm-hmm.
Because and so when I get stressed out or depressed, first of all, I walk away from my freaking computer, but I try to use my balance beam thing. And I do it survivor style. If I fall off, I have to start from the beginning.
Oh, okay.
You know when they have to do the balance? Do you not watch Survivor?
Okay. I have to confess, I used to watch Survivor, and then I don't know, somewhere
And then
along
50
the
seasons
Richard
went
guy
by?
getting, yeah, I haven't.
I haven't watched since season 1. Richard Hatch, that was it.
That's it. Richard Hatch did me in. And then I put my toe in every so often because I'm fascinated by it. But yeah, so they do a beam and they have to start over if they fall off.
Yeah, they have to cross a beam, and if you have to start over. And the first time I did that with my physical therapist, he was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I thought that's the way you had to do it." Like, is that not a gymnast rule?
Is that not a rule here? I can just see you like going all the way back to the beginning of the beam. He's like, "No, keep going."
Yeah.
Just like even Simone Biles doesn't do that.
And I also have a stationary bike, which is a great place to leave my purse.
And
We've all been there.
Yeah.
You have a Peloton?
I like bikes. No, I want a Peloton.
Oh, I thought you said you had a Peloton.
No, I'm not. I don't like bikes. I never liked stationary cycling. I like moving, and I don't like, if you're going to sit your ass in front of a computer for 12, 14 hours a day, why do you want to then go sit on your ass on a bike? So you're just sitting. You're just exchanging your sitting location. So it never makes sense.
Yeah, but that's why you have to get a bike that has a desk so that you can pretend you're going to do work while biking when you're actually just going to put your purse there.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
the dog's leash, some coats. Oh, and a book that has to go back to the library.
Oh,
that
makes sense.
I like that you use the library. That's important.
I love the smell of library books.
I know. I love libraries.
Yeah, I get that. I understand the hanging things on the exercise equipment. And my mom does the same thing, and I thought it was just us. And then when I hear stories like this, I'm like, oh, we all do that.
Yeah. Everybody does it.
I don't know if you remember Beverly from the shelter. Do you remember Beverly?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, so she gave me an under desk bike. See, I get distracted because I focus so much, so I stop so it just doesn't do anything.
Oh, they have that too, a bicycle one under the desk?
Yeah, that goes under the desk. Yeah, they have that. I guess it's that whole talk, walk, chew gum thing. I'm like, no, I need to just be chewing gum.
Well, and then the other thing though too, if you're on a Zoom with somebody and you're doing your bike thing, isn't that going to look kind of
or you're pedaling and then you start sweating and you're like, yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. No, I'm biking. I'm biking.
I'm getting my steps in.
Fitbits stopped working for me once I realized that if I was short on my steps, I could just jiggle my wrist.
Is that true?
I didn't mean to share that information.
Look how excited I got.
Yeah, and you can justify it by saying you're exercising your arm.
Oh so God. You're like doing tricep.
No, you're moving your wrist.
Are you just shaking? Okay, this looks really like I needed that. That's so good. Oh, the nuggets that just happen organically.
So we have questions at the end. Random questions.
Yes, we shuffle and just choose three questions.
This is like watch what happens live when Andy does the thing where you have to pick.
Yes.
Okay. Look at you. You're a Bravo people. Okay, so have you ever or would you ever have an enema?
I have never had one. I tried and I could not get it to work. I don't know what that says about my agility or my knowledge of the human body. But yeah, I mean, if I had to, of course, but I kind of think somebody else would have to do it for me.
So this was an at-home experience for you.
Yeah. I can't remember why. I don't know. I get, whenever I have to have a colonoscopy, I get obsessed about making sure it's cleaned out. So I don't know if it was that reason why I was trying to do it or if it was something else. I don't remember.
but it didn't work. So this is important information. Okay. Would you ever start a GoFundMe to pay a medical bill? If not, why? If so, under what circumstances?
If I couldn't work for a long time, if it was going to be something that I absolutely couldn't work, I would do it. I would not want to do it, but I would absolutely do it. We did a GoFundMe for my niece Lindsey's kids, and that kind of felt weird, but they needed some sort of trust fund for college and stuff. So
yeah, most definitely. Okay, so we're going to do one more.
And by the way, it completely sucks that in America, our health insurance is tied to our job. Mm-hmm. And, if people have cancer or something and they need downtime, it shouldn't affect that sort of stuff. I don't know if that made sense, but that pisses me off.
No, 100%.
It makes complete sense. It pisses me off too. It's really unfair how that is. And then if you don't have insurance, they turn you away. You can have stage 4 cancer, and if you have no insurance, nobody's going to take you.
You can always go to USC, and it'll take them like 3 years to schedule whatever cancer treatment you need. But if you're still alive by then, it'll be great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. So, okay, what's the nicest thing someone ever did for you when you weren't feeling well?
Oh, my friend Vicky does not like cats. She's not really comfortable with them. So, first of all, years ago when we put bamboo around my fence, she cut a hole in it so that not my cat could still get in and out of my patio. Right after I had the surgery, and I had those foster kittens and 3 cats. My friends had my dog, but she came over and she was cleaning litter boxes. She was playing with the kittens. She, that's above and beyond, because she's really not comfortable with cats. And who wants to clean a litter box?
It's funny though, because if you've had cats for a long time, you just don't even think about it. It's just like, that's what you do. Like whatever, you scoop litter, whatever, you do it. But I mean, people are picking up poop after their dogs every day, constantly. So, I mean.
Well, except in my neighborhood, where sometimes they just don't.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a thing. But I'm always shocked about people who just don't understand cats. By now, I just feel like everybody should get it.
Yeah. I mean, but, some people have just never been around them. She never had one growing up. Her husband is allergic to cats. So he says. But yeah, I thought that was really above and beyond.
Well, that was very sweet. Yes. Yeah. Anytime anybody comes and takes care of your animals anyway, I always feel like is.
Oh, and when I got COVID and I was out of Tylenol and I ordered some from Amazon, and when it showed up the next day, it was literally an empty envelope. and there was nothing. And I was like, how could somebody not tell that, And I called my friend Carl and I'm like, I'm going to die because I can't keep my temperature down. And he ran and got some, dropped it off at my house. So he works at Robin Hood in the Valley. So he was late for his shift, but he wanted to make sure I had my Tylenol. I wasn't even like asking him to get it. I was just like, I'm going to die, which I guess is a passive aggressive way of saying, get me Tylenol.
Yeah. I think anybody who would get that phone call would go get you Tylenol.
Yeah. But, I hate asking people for things.
Mm-hmm.
Really, it's really hard for me, especially when you can have everything delivered. But that was just like my breaking point. I'm like, oh, this is it's clearly an empty envelope.
But I mean, that's hard when you're going through a health crisis and when you're going through things on your own, to do it on your own. I think a lot of people take that for granted. I never had anybody taking care of me, and when I first was sick too, it wasn't the COVID times. I mean, our whole society has completely changed where you can get anything delivered. It didn't used to be that way. I mean, if COVID brought one thing to the world, it was that.
It's true.
But,
yeah, people do take that for granted, because I know when I first got sick, I was still married. And I had somebody there with me. And then when I got sick again, I was on my own. I was divorced. And yeah, you just take it for granted because then you're just laying there and you're like, I can't. Like the popsicles or, anything that you need when you're not feeling well and you can't walk around and get it yourself. Like there have been times where I almost like went and knocked on my neighbor's door. I think I might be dying, when you can't breathe or something happens and you get scared. And I always think, well, I'll just crawl next door and be like, can you help me? And yeah, people don't realize when you live alone and you're going through a health crisis, there are other things to consider, right?
But it can also be pretty horrible to be with someone who is just annoyed by you being sick.
You're right. You're right about that. Wow. Thank you for reminding me of that.
He just seemed annoyed all the time. And it was like, dude, like, I can't believe I spent 13 years with you. I mean, we ended up finally splitting up because his girlfriend hated that he was married. I guess she found it really annoying.
Yeah. Strange how that happens.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do have a question that pertains to this. So do you find after your divorce, how did that change your health? Like, did you see a shift in either how you were taking care of yourself or, I don't know how long ago your divorce was, but being in that environment with somebody like that, do you think that made what you were going through even worse or prolong you getting help that you needed?
It definitely prolonged me getting help that I needed. And the extra stress is never good. I mean, they've said that they think that I've had too much cortisol in my system for years and years and years.
Mm-hmm.
So having issues like that certainly didn't help my stress level.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm impressed.
I know that had to be real. Yeah, I'm impressed too with everything that you've been through. And just, I also think like your perspective and all of it, you're just incredible and how you even share your story. And that's a lot.
So I have a question. Would you ever put up with a doctor like the doctor that told you needed to lose weight?
Again? No matter what their last name is.
Kevorkian or not.
Yeah. I mean, I can't tell you what I had for breakfast this morning, but I can tell you what she was wearing, what I was wearing. When we had that conversation, she was like, you just need to lose weight. Okay, well, can you help me do that? No, I can refer you to a nutritionist. I mean, like that haunts me. And I lived like that for way longer. So I just, I would never put up with that again. But I also know what to say now. Like you should check my cortisol. You should do, you should do this, you should do that. And I mean, I honestly, I think like if I were in that situation again and I felt like the doctor wasn't listening, I honestly think I would say to their face, like, so you don't want to do your job. You want to get payment for this 20 minutes, but you don't actually want to do your job. Because just saying, oh no, you need to lose weight. And what else? And what else? Keep talking, doc. Keep talking.
Yeah, I walked out of 2 doctors. One, when I told them what happened, they go, that couldn't have happened. Well, it did happen. So you're basically telling me my experience couldn't have happened. And she's like, it couldn't have. I literally just got up and walked out. I was so furious because I was living with everything that happened. And then I did write a review on Yelp and she asked me to take it down, but I wouldn't.
Good.
And she had the worst name. And I can't even remember the name now, but it was something cock in the... So the funniest thing was I was working on a show and I came back and I was so furious. And one of the editors that I worked with had gone to her. I said her name and he's like, you don't forget a name like that. he's like, I went to her. I don't like her either. Well, now I'll never go to her. And he's like, don't take that review. It was pretty funny.
You got to wonder about somebody going into practice with the last name Kevorkian. But, maybe most people don't know the reference.
Yeah, or it doesn't register.
Yeah.
I always think of, the person that does go into a doctor's office like that and over again gets told, you just have to lose weight or it's all in your head or that didn't happen to you. They gaslight you. And, and what about the person that then goes home and just feels completely defeated, doesn't have a support system, believes the doctor and thinks it's all in their head? I mean, this is such dangerous territory.
It really is.
Really.
It really is. And the way the whole system is set up is dangerous territory because, I mean, somebody like that having to jump through all the hurdles, with insurance, getting authorized, it's exhausting. And if you're already in a bad place about
Yeah.
screw it.
Yeah.
And also one thing that people don't take into account, you still have to like leave your work for a while to go to a doctor. It's like it takes you forever to get an appointment sometimes. You go there, you wait, it's a whole thing, and you're in the middle of a million things at work and deadlines, and you're trying to get answers to something, try to take care of yourself, but try and do your job so you can pay for the doctors.
Right.
And then you come back and you're upset because you've just been insulted, you got no answers, you spent money, you took time out of your day. And I think so many of them forget that we're human beings, and it is a big deal because you got nothing from this doctor, and now you're going to have to go somewhere else. And it's energy, and it's a lot of energy when you're already
sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're sick. Exactly. It's not like you're just going in there for a checkup. Like your quality of life for some people, I mean, like you said, like maybe you can't even get up and walk, or you're in such excruciating pain.
And you're hopeful,
and every appointment, you're like, okay, like he's going to crack the code. And I finally got into this appointment, and I was referred to this endocrinologist, oncologist, whoever it is. And you get in there and they look at you like you're crazy. They don't want to order the correct tests. And then you're sent away with no answers. You're still in pain, or you're still debilitated. As a result, maybe your work life or your family or your relationship or your marriage is falling apart. And you're supposed to just put a smile on, go into work, and just continue the best that you can. And my question is, what if I was a man and I walked in there and said, I'm in excruciating pain and I need to find the answers? Like, what's that experience? Because that's also a very real thing.
I suspect a doctor would never say those things to a man. If you're a man and you're listening to this, please let us know if we're wrong. And do you get insulted? How hard is it for you to get answers? We don't really understand how different it is for men.
Mm-hmm. And I know they say that men will wait and wait and wait before they go to the doctor. Generally, women, we will go to the doctor faster when we're not feeling well. But I think what we're talking about is how the doctor relates to you.
Tell us if we're wrong.
Make us wrong. We want to be wrong. I do. I definitely do. Jody knows this. I had a doctor say to me, do what you're told or I'm going to spank you.
What?
That was an endocrinologist at St. John's.
That's insane.
I was so, at that point, I was so sick at that point that I wish I was this woman now today on the other side of that. But I didn't even know. I just walked out of there in a complete daze.
I had at a urgent care, because of my asthma and stuff, I'll get like the coughing sets off the asthma sets off the coughing. So I knew they were going to do an x-ray. So I put on a sports bra and I went, and the x-ray guy goes, okay, you need to take off your bra unless you're wearing, and I'm like, oh no, it's a sports bra. And he goes, okay. So we go in, we take it. He takes like the first picture, and then he goes, can you come here? So I walk over to that little booth they have, and he shows me the x-ray, and there's a clip on the back of the sports bra that I didn't even realize was there. Mm-hmm. And he looks at me and goes, no offense, but you didn't seem the type that would be wearing a sports bra.
What?
Yeah, I don't want to swear again. But I was like, are you kidding me? And I was like, I'm really sorry. I go, I didn't realize it. I wasn't even going to argue with him about it being a sports bra. But I was like, I'm very sorry. And then he said that. No offense, but you don't seem the type that would wear a sport. Wow. Okay.
That's disgusting.
Yep.
Yeah.
It really is.
When I had to get an MRI, and I wasn't functioning because of this nutraceutical that I was given. The guy said to me, "What, you're here because you have writer's block?" No, I wouldn't come in and get an MRI and give you $800 because I have writer's block. This is something catastrophic in my life. I was devastated. Who are you to even say something like that to me when you don't even know what I'm going through? I would never go back there again. People go in for these tests in a vulnerable state. And for these people not to take it seriously, I don't need your commentary.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, they don't realize the damage that they're doing.
I mean, I'm talking about it, over 10 years later,
Mhm.
and the stuff that sticks with you because you're just like, this is not what I needed.
Right.
I don't need to be insulted when I'm going through a procedure.
I mean, I'm a huge fan of sarcasm, but not from health professionals.
No. Yeah, no, they should be boring.
If they're that kind of person who thinks they're funny and they're not.
Yes, that's the worst though. You're not going to get a laugh. It's not going to make it better. You're only going to make it worse. Just stop.
Yeah. But I'm going to do my fake laugh for you.
It's a pretty good fake laugh.
That's I got to say, that would
I've got
me.
A couple of them, but yeah, there's the evil fake laugh, the regular fake laugh, the aren't you cute? Yeah. I mean, if you're going to learn one thing in Hollywood, it's how to fake laugh.
How to fake laugh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you should have a maniacal one. So the next time someone does it, you just have like a Looney Tune going off the rails.
Oh, I won't do it because I don't want to hurt your ears, but I've got a pretty good Margaret Hamilton from Wizard of Oz.
Oh.
Of course, I do have to throw in, and your little dog too, but it's really good.
And see if you actually say that, then you may end up in a whole different room in a different hospital.
True. Excellent point. Good.
Yep.
Valid.
So all those listening, word of caution.
Yes.
Don't do that laugh in a hospital. In a hospital setting.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well,
I know. Thank you
Miss
so much,
Jody.
Jessica.
Well, I'm so glad we finally got to do this.
Your story is a story that should be told, and I'm glad you're doing better. It's kind of remarkable that all of the things that have happened to you, you keep rising above and having a sense of humor. And
I'm expecting a new Consuela post or two to entertain me.
you got to get back on that track. I'm sorry, I require it.
Yeah, it's hard when the weather's like this. I guess I could lure her out by just talking to myself on my patio.
Or you could hang your clothes over the I don't know.
Over
something.
her railing.
Oh my
Over her
goodness.
railing.
That's perfect.
All right. Well, I should go pretend
Okay.
to do my job.
Yes,
Okay,
yes. We'll let you, we'll release you back into the wild to do your job.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. This was fun.
Oh,
You guys do a good job.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
You're very easy to talk to.
Oh, excellent. We're happy to hear that. And we will do you proud, we promise.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And you were amazing and so easy to talk to and so much fun. And you just lit this whole episode up. It was so great.
Yay us.
Yay us. We're going out on a high note.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
indeed.
Okay. Bye.
Take care. She's lovely.
Oh my gosh, was that fun?
She was fun.
It was so good. I just feel like my heart, I don't know, my heart just feels very happy.
I know. I like her a lot. She's really great. I'm glad she's doing better too.
She's been through so much.
I know. And I had no idea that she even had a husband, let alone an ex-husband. As it turns out, not everyone's a singleton like me. Shock.
Some people have had husbands and ex-husbands and, and things like that.
I think I kind of chimed in there was because she said, but it's also hard when you have a partner that they're just annoyed by you. It's just a burden.
I mean, to have someone in your face constantly that you can't get to understand, or they're not actually being compassionate, empathetic, and trying to understand and seeing how horrible it is for you, I wouldn't be able to deal with that personally.
Yeah, living under the same roof in a small space with a person who just thinks you're just such a burden. Yeah, so that just reminded me like, wow, okay, I am I'm really lucky.
It's tough. It's tough. I mean, the thing is, a health crisis in any instance is not easy. It's not easy to be alone. It's not easy to be with someone. And I mean, let's be honest, even if you have the perfect person, that's still also difficult because you feel guilty because this person is giving up so much for you. I mean, nobody wants to be in a health crisis.
Nobody wants to put their partner through that. And let's face it, I mean, there were so many things there that it would be ridiculous for me to sit here and say that it didn't impact his life and the stress on his life.
Okay. But the thing is that someone who has a health crisis has been through it.
Right. Well, you would think you'd get the most empathy from.
Yes, exactly. That was what I was going to say. Because the whole point of this podcast and us talking is that it's a safe space. You can talk to someone because finally someone understands. I had doctors say to me what happened to me. Oh, that wouldn't have happened to you if you had a partner.
And what a terrible thing to even say to somebody. That goes back to the inappropriateness of doctors making things worse.
Yeah, because I couldn't change it. Like, what am I going to do? Okay, I can't function now. I'm going to go find myself a husband.
Well, you and I both know a lot of women have gone that route.
Well, unfortunately, when I was fully functioning and everything was great and I was looking my best, it wasn't like I was attracting men. So let's be honest. It's not like I'm a man magnet anyway, and I never have been.
Yes, you are. You gorgeous man magnet.
No, yeah, no. So,
all right, wait, I'm going to stop recording.
Okay.
Ooh. How do I do it? What happened?
It doesn't want to stop. It doesn't want to stop. This episode was produced by Jody Paul and Tina Lynch, with emotional support provided by Ricky, Sabrina, Rocco, Oliver,
and Piper. Get yourselves a rescue animal, people. You won't be sorry.
You won't be sorry. Trust
Please
us.
do. Thank you for listening. We're so happy you're here and on this journey with us.
Yes. Thank you for being here.
See you next time on Oh Health No. If you have a question or comment for us or for Jessica, please email us at contactus@ohhealthno.com. Visit our website, ohhealthno.com, or DM us on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube.
We'd love to hear from you. Please like, comment, follow, share, and subscribe.
That was really funny. Jessica's like, what's on your lap?
Meow bark.
Bark meow.
I love how you're like, no, we're barking first.
No, that was Piper saying that.
Sure it was.